This is Football, the People's Game, and welcome to today's football analyzing session. And today we'll be talking about Manchester United's draw against Everton and Amorim's frustration. And we will be talking about Mikel Arteta's side losing to West Ham and unable to keep mounting pressure on Liverpool. And also we'll be talking about Chelsea's loss to Aston Villa after taking the lead, but suffering 2 goals from Asensio for Aston Villa. And lastly, we'll also be talking about Atalanta's coach Gasperini calling out Lookman to be the worst penalty taker in their second leg UCL playoffs against Dortmund. And today I'm having with me in the studio our football analyst, Iroko. So Iroko, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here today.
All right, you look elegantly dressed in black today.
I'm in black because I'm mourning Manchester United.
Oh, it has become so horrible for Manchester United.
We are already dead, waiting for to be buried.
Oh no,
yes,
that is really frustrating. And also, you are having a fine trim today.
Yes, I'm taking it from Sanchez.
Sanchez of Chelsea.
Of Chelsea, yes.
Okay.
So I copied them because when they feel frustrated, they went to shave their head like Jackson did last season. Then Sanchez this season. I shaved mine because I'm frustrated by Manchester United.
All right, so that is a nice one. I like the trim.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll be starting on today's session. We'll be starting with a Manchester United's draw against Everton yesterday.
Yes.
Everton took the lead with 2 goals up, but later on Manchester United came from behind, scoring 2 goals and tying the match. And after the match, Ruben Amorim has expressed his frustrations. In his post-match interview, he said, if you watch Manchester United's game, you will see more problems than solutions. And his captain, Bruno Fernandes, in his post-match interview also has stated that Manchester United squad picks up challenge to play better when they go down to their opponents. So what would you have to say about that Everton match yesterday?
I was frustrated from the first half. I almost abandoned the second half because there was nothing interesting to watch. No pattern. They are not possessing. They are not playing counter-attack. There's nothing to watch about Manchester United. They were all frustrated, but towards the 60th minute, they brought in some changes which helped the team to come back and score those 2 goals they scored. I think from Bruno's free kick and Ugate's volley. That was impressive. But if they put in those efforts they did from the 60th minute, I think it would take Manchester United from where they are in the table currently to at least 7th, 9th or 10th position in the table.
So just like what you said, you talked about Manchester United's performance from the 60th minute, and that was when they put in their best to score 2 goals to tie the match.
Yes.
And that is exactly what Bruno Fernandes has said in his post-match interview. He said that Manchester United only put up a better performance after they concede goals. So why is it like that? The Manchester United squad, why are they having a very low mentality going into matches, not putting up their best from the minute 1 of the match?
From the minute 1 of the match, before the match begins, you, from the way they walk from the tunnel to the field, you see that their spirit are dead. There's no agility or no. Their facial expression tells you that they are not up to the task.
No swagger and charisma.
Yes, and there's no intimidation on their face. You see fear coming out of their faces. So I think they should be more bold, especially holding the ball. They are scared of losing the ball. When you are scared of losing the ball, that's what happens. You lose it frequently. They should be bold, play with their mind and freedom. That's what's expected of Manchester United players.
But then we are not seeing that.
From this season, from the start of this season, I haven't seen that in the Premier League, except for the European League. They have been playing well, but for the Premier League, they haven't shown that class of performance we have been looking for.
Okay, so dating back some months ago when Ruben Amorim was signed by Manchester United, before his first game, I remember having an interview with you, and then you have this expectation on Ruben Amorim to take up Manchester United from where they were at the time. And the expectation you had of him back then was taking you into the top 4 at least, and then winning one of the trophies, either the FA Cup or the Carling Cup. But from the look of things, okay, Manchester United are still in the FA Cup, and then they are still in the Europa League, but then their performance in the Premier League has been nothing to write home about. So what do you have to say about that, your expectation on Ruben Amorim, and how his United side has been underperforming in the Premier League?
Currently, I think I'm in doubt with Amorim's pattern.
Okay.
But I still believe that those players are not capable of the performances he is expecting from them.
Okay.
So I think this season we will suffer, like he has said. He believes in himself. So we will suffer. Then next transfer window for next season, if he comes in with his own squad of players, the ones he believes will play to his pattern, I think he will do better. Like we've seen from Dogu yesterday. I think from the first half he was the only player that was positive in the game of play for Manchester United. So if he comes in with some of those squads he needs, he will do better, I think.
And since Ruben Amorim came in, we have seen some Manchester United players that the team has been built on. Players like Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Anthony, leaving the club because of 1 or 2 complaints that the coach have made about them.
Yes.
So, and I think Anthony in his new club, Betis, he has been scoring goals.
Yes.
And then Marcus Rashford has been providing assists as well in Aston Villa. But then Jadon Sancho,
the main problem, he's struggling still.
He's struggling in Chelsea.
Yes.
But we can see that some of the complaints that the coach has made about these players, some are correct to some extent. Yes. So do you see these players coming back to Manchester United again, if at all Amorim still remains the coach next season?
Well, as for Rashford, I would like him to return to Manchester United if he puts on this positive effort he has been putting on for Aston Villa. You saw yesterday he provided 2 assists,
yes,
and created more chances despite coming from the bench yesterday. And Anthony scoring those volleys and all those stuff. But I don't think Jadon Sancho should return to Manchester United at any cost, whether he improves or not.
Why did you say that?
Because he doesn't have the spirit of playing for Manchester United.
Okay.
You saw when they sacked Erik ten Hag, he trolled him in the comment section.
Yeah.
And as well for Marcus Rashford, commenting freedom. Why you are still a player for that club. Anything can happen in football. As a footballer, you shouldn't go about trolling your club or your coach, because in the future you don't know where you might land.
I think that happened with Jose Mourinho and Dele Alli.
Yes.
Why they were in Tottenham and then they broke out, but at the end of the day they met
again.
Roma.
The same with Yaya Toure and Pep Guardiola. So in cases like that, you have to avoid those things. Even players, fans that doesn't have any concern with you will start looking into your character and start believing that yes, they say this about you, and that may affect your football career.
In the case of Jadon Sancho, in a podcast that was released some weeks ago of Mikel Obi, Chelsea legend, complaining about Jadon Sancho's performance, that he has been deceived, in the sense that Jadon Sancho is not putting up the performance he put up while he was in Dortmund. That is to say that everything I said about him in Manchester United is true, and that Jadon Sancho needs to step up to put up a good performance that is expected of him. So is Jadon Sancho doing himself any good by not performing at his best, or do you feel that this is the best that Jadon Sancho can give?
Well, I don't think this is the best Sancho can give, because if you are playing to prove someone wrong, that's where you keep losing the performance you need to put on. When he came to Chelsea, I think in his first 5 matches, he played well. Even I myself was envious of letting go of such a player. But towards the 6th, 7th matches, he started playing to create the impression that he was good. What they said about him at Manchester United were all false, trying to prove Ten Hag wrong. But that is wrong. You need to play to enjoy the game. He doesn't need to prove people wrong in order for him to play well. He needs to enjoy the game, which Rashford is doing, and Anthony at Real Betis. They are playing because they enjoy the game, not playing to prove people wrong. And mind you, they are playing to return to Manchester United, not to leave permanently. But Sancho is playing to leave permanently. That is the difference between these 3 players.
So, Arsenal were unable to beat West Ham yesterday to keep the pressure on Liverpool, and Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta, after the match, has expressed his frustrations. He said that, "I am very, very angry. That was nowhere near the level needed to win the Premier League." That is to say, Arsenal's performance was nowhere near anywhere to win the Premier League. So what would you have to say about Arsenal not being able to win that sort of match in this situation that you are mounting pressure on Liverpool that is top of the table?
You see that in one of our interviews, I told you that those players are not strong enough to win trophies for Arsenal.
Okay.
As well, the fault comes from Mikel Arteta as well, because they played without a 9, using the central midfielder Merino as your first 9. That's very unfair. You at least use a winger as your first 9. So him saying that he's angry or frustrated, I think 90% of the fault comes from him. And Arteta is not the man for Arsenal. If they want to win trophies, they should go for a better coach.
Okay, and it looks as if West Ham has not gotten over losing Declan Rice to Arsenal. It was heard yesterday from the West Ham's fans' end, singing to Declan Rice, "You should have gone to a bigger club." What do you have to say about that banter? That is total banter.
Well, in to some extent, in European competition, that's right.
I think West Ham were able to win.
No, they didn't win. Declan Rice won it. So you saw the logic Arteta putting into signing his players. He went and selected the European winning players like Kai Havertz, Declan Rice, Jorginho, and probably the club captain. So he thinks that is the logic for winning European trophies. Well, that's not it. You need to be a good coach like Jose Mourinho to be able to win not just trophies. I'm not talking about Carling Cups.
I think Arteta earlier this season has said that they have actually won a couple of trophies, and he made mention of winning the Community Shield.
Yes, he said that out of frustration. He said that out of frustration, but we don't mind that.
Okay.
We will pardon him for saying
that. So talking about the West Ham fans singing to Declan Rice that he should have gone to a bigger club.
Yes.
So what are they trying to say? Which bigger club would Declan Rice would have gone to than Arsenal?
Well, I think he would do better in Manchester City. But at that time, I don't think he would bench anybody from the
because then we were having a
Gundogan. So he was not a necessity for Manchester City at that time. And as well, for Manchester United, it was not a necessity then
at the time, because
we had the likes of
Paul Pogba,
the Fred, McTominay. You know, those players were much better than him then, while they were at Manchester United, and they won some trophies for Manchester United as well. So But currently, which is too late,
He's stuck in Arsenal.
yes, he's stuck in Arsenal. But if he's a wise player, he should sign for Manchester United.
All right, so that is a nice banter from you. So we'll be talking about Chelsea losing to Aston Villa yesterday after going 1-0 up from Fernandes' goal. And it happens that they have to lose that lead to Asensio's 2 goals for Aston Villa.
And my Marcus Rashford's 2 assists.
Coming from the bench.
Yes.
All right, so the coach, Enzo Maresca, has expressed his frustrations for his goalies. And he said that he's worried about his goalkeepers in matches that they are winning. So what would you have to say about the goalkeepers at Chelsea? We are not going to just talk about the goalkeepers at Chelsea, yes, because we have similar cases like that in Manchester United's goalie, which is Onana.
Not just Manchester United, even Manchester City as well.
Okay, so we'll talk about, first and foremost, we'll talk about Enzo Maresca's complaints about his goalkeepers. And after Chelsea lost to Manchester City, that was when there was an eye-opener about the mistakes that the Chelsea goalkeepers were making, which was Robert Sanchez. He came out after the match to say that he is aware of the mistakes that Robert Sanchez is making, but he believes in him. But in subsequent matches, we have seen Robert Sanchez being dropped on the bench and then bringing on Jorgensen for Chelsea. But in the yesterday's game, the winner from Asensio was a poor goalkeeping from Jorgensen, if I am to say. And the coach has expressed his frustrations for his goalkeepers. So what do you have to say about that?
I can say that in general, there are not many keepers in the world currently.
In the world of football?
Yes, very few. The few are Courtois, Noah, Raya, and Martinez of Aston Villa.
Noah is still there as well.
Yes, Noah is still there. Then Martinez of Aston Villa.
Even Schmeichel in Celtic.
And David De Gea as well. So, out of 100%, I think there's only 10% availability of good goalkeepers. Not world-class goalkeepers. Because most of these goalkeepers I mentioned are not in their peak anymore. So, in general sense, these goalkeepers are what we are left with. We don't have any option.
No place to go.
No place to go. You see, I've been complaining why they are not using the second goalkeeper for Chelsea. I mean, Jorgensen. And now he has been given the opportunity.
I think he has to even grab this opportunity with his both hands.
And I can boldly say that he was worse than Sanchez. And I swear, we liken it to Manchester United's second goalkeeper. I've been agitating for him to be given the chance, but he threw it away
when he was given the chance.
So these are the keepers we are left with. We don't have any other choice.
So the work rate now is on the defenders to be at their best.
Yes,
not to let any chance.
Which is very, very impossible. You saw that when strikers meet with these kinds of goalkeepers, they tend to shoot from afar.
There was an incident in the Chelsea versus Aston Villa game yesterday. Where Cole Palmer was one-on-one with Martinez.
Yes.
You saw the way that Martinez came out to make himself big in front of Palmer, and he was able to lose that chance. I think in the case of some of these goalkeepers like Onana and
he would have stood in the goal line.
Yes, but then these are some of the antics that goalkeepers are supposed to watch from their fellow goalkeepers.
Yes.
As a goalkeeper, you don't just need to depend on what you are doing from the training sessions. You need to also watch clips of other goalkeepers that you feel are better than you to learn some things from them. But then we are not seeing some of these things. I'm not sure these keepers even watch clips of their fellow keepers.
The problem with those keepers is they don't have the common sense of a goalkeeper. You see, there are some balls you don't need to dive to save them. Like the second goal they scored Jorgensen. That wasn't a goal to dive, a ball to dive for. At least you should have knelt down and open your arms to save the goal. Because before you might land on the ground to save the ball has already gone to the net. That is common sense for goalkeepers. Those keepers, they need lectures by older keepers in order to improve their sense of reasoning in gameplay.
Okay. All right, so that is by the way. Now, the last thing we'll be talking about today is Atalanta coach Gasperini calling out Lookman that he's the worst penalty taker after he missed in their second leg UCL playoff against Dortmund. And that has stirred lots of reactions from former players and also the club's executives. So what would you have to say about that incident between Gasperini, Atlanta coach, and Lookman? Although Lookman initially is not the penalty taker, but then there was an incident that happened. Lookman claimed that the penalty taker told him that he should take the penalty.
Now, let me remind you of something. That reaction coming from the coach is unprofessional and lacks the ability to take up team responsibility, pointing out an individual to take up the responsibility for their loss. Similar situation has happened in Manchester United with Luis Nani and Ferguson. Nani narrated the story that they were losing or having a draw in that game, which he was not the person to take the penalty, which was Wayne Rooney, I think Van Persie or Berbatov, one of these three.
Okay.
But he took the penalty and missed. Unfortunately, that day, he was the one to take Ferguson home because they were neighbors.
Okay.
They didn't have any conversation, but deep down he knew he messed up. So Ferguson kept quiet. If not when Luis Nani narrated the story, nobody knew that something like that happened. That was how a coach needs to address such issues. If you need to point out a player single-handedly, you should have done it in the dressing room, not in the conference. But later on, I think he came out and said what he was supposed to say, that Lookman needs to improve on taking on penalties, and maybe in the future, in the nearest future, he might become one of the best penalty takers. That is what I think he slept over it. I knew that he messed up big time, and he came out to, it's good he came out to make the correction by himself without anybody calling him out.
Okay, so that will be all for today. Later today, we'll be having Liverpool versus Manchester City. Yes. Manchester City are coming into that game losing to Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League last week and being knocked out of the competition. And Liverpool are going into that game tying against Aston Villa also last week. So it's a match that is going to be very, very tough, in the sense that Manchester City needs a win to keep up their spot in the top four, and then Liverpool needs the win to maintain their spot at the top of the table. So what is your reaction to that match and prediction for later today?
I think based on current form, though Arsenal had a tie against Aston Villa, don't be deceived. Aston Villa are putting up a good performance since the beginning of January. So Aston Villa is one club to be looked at as one of the best currently, alongside the top four teams. So having a tie with Aston Villa, I don't think it's a poor performance from Liverpool's side. But against Manchester City, that match will be a men versus boys.
So who are the men? Who are the boys?
Liverpool are the men, unfortunately. Then from Manchester City, they might try, but I don't think they'll put up any good performance against Liverpool. So I'm seeing that match with a 3-goal from Liverpool.
Okay, so that is your prediction. Yes. All right, before we go, we would have one question for you, which we have not asked you on this session before.
All right.
And the question would be, who in your opinion is the best midfielder in world football?
Currently?
Not currently, in world football, both past and present.
I'm the type of player.
This is a hard one.
This is a hard one for you. But starting from the defensive midfield to the attacking midfield, if I am to play like one of these midfielders from the past and present, I think I'll go with Busquets.
Sergio Busquets.
Yes.
From Barcelona.
From Barcelona.
So he's your all-time world best midfielder
Yes.
in world football.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a topic we'll be talking about in subsequent time in the studio. So thank you very much, Iroko, for being part of the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. It's always nice having you.
You're always welcome.
Thank you.